Ultima 4 was a landmark game and a real turning point in RPGs and gaming in general. If it seems like I'm being kinda hard on the stories for these games, I'm just making fun. Most games barely even attempted a story beyond a big evil somewhere you have to go quest for and kill. They were just games and you weren't meant to think about them too hard. If you wanted a story, read a book, you know? Actually, the early Ultimas did way more than most in fleshing out the world with cool maps and books written in its overly medieval dialogue. Ultima 4 took several bold steps in changing the way these games were played. There wasn't a big evil bad guy in this game. Your quest was simply one of enlightenment and self-mastery. Your moral choices, though fairly simplistic, had consequences, and the game held you to a higher ethical standard. Again, it seems primitive now, but for the first time an RPG was actually incorporating elements of role-playing. And really, it's far more intelligent here than I've seen in many other modern games, which boil most ethical dilemmas down to being the paragon of sweetness and sunshine, or being a petty baby-strangling maniac. The introduction of the 8 virtues and their interconnection with the 3 principles of truth, love, and courage was a great framework for the Avatar, a champion of morality that actually remains secular, invoking purity and goodness without really bringing a god into the equation. It's a good system. It's easy to understand, and judging from the moral choices made in Ultima 4, a cinch to live by. You know, don't lie, don't murder, defend the weak, and be charitable to the downtrodden, all that crap. But what nobody expected, however, was how Richard Garriott would warp and twist his own creation. And in each game to follow, you can see him taking a perverse pleasure in showing us how the same virtues and its champion can save a world, but also doom it. Ultima 5 brought us sudden and startling insight into philosophy and social morality, and told a broad, epic story. This leap forward from Ultima 4 is truly breathtaking in comparison. If it's not the greatest PC role-playing game of all time, its only competition is probably the other games in the Ultima series. Okay, so here's the setup. Now that you've become the Avatar, ushered in a new era of enlightenment, and then gone home, Lord British takes it upon himself to cure all of Britannia's ills, starting with sealing up all the world's dungeons and preventing the monsters inside from getting out and terrorizing the land. That done, he personally leads an expedition into the deepest, darkest, most evil hole in the world, the Stygian Abyss, in a quest to clean it out once and for all. But something goes wrong, and he and his entire party disappears. In the king's absence, his closest advisor, Lord Blackthorn, assumes the regency of the kingdom, and in a twist that revolutionized all of fantasy fiction forever, it turns out that Lord Blackthorn is evil! What? Oh, come on! There's no way anyone could have seen that coming. I mean, Lord Blackthorn, a fascist dictator? No! Next thing you'll tell me that Dr. Wily didn't really start making robots for the benefit of all mankind.
What's the point of power if you don't abuse people?
Okay, actually you learn it's not really Blackthorn's fault. He wasn't a bad guy, it's just that his mind was corrupted by the Nazgul, the Shadow Lords, which are 3 creatures of cowardice, hatred, and shame, born of the 3 shards of Mondane's Gem of Immortality. Man, geez, I knew we should have done something about that guy. Man, this Mondane guy, everything he ever touched is something that threatens all life on the planet. Even his skull can be used to just casually wipe out all life in the world. I even bet when this guy just takes a crap, it all just comes out in one big, long, black, steaming, life-eradicating log of evil.
Mom! Dad! It's evil! Don't touch it!
Anyway, the Shadow Lords have taken Lord British prisoner and corrupted Blackthorn's mind, and his understanding of the virtues. The way he sees it now, the virtues outline a very clear blueprint for the betterment of oneself and the state, and anyone who fails to follow them is clearly committing a willful act of evil, right? So if you're trying to rid the world of evil, the only thing to do is to make the virtues mandatory. They're not just a set of philosophical guidelines, it's the law!
You betray the law! Law!
After all, if you consider yourself a good, law-abiding, virtuous citizen, you shouldn't have any problem at all following the laws of virtue, which Lord Blackthorn has very conveniently rewritten to make them clearer and posted on a signpost right at the gates of each city. Like Blackthorn's Law of Honesty, thou shalt not lie or thou shalt lose thy tongue. Blackthorn's Law of Valor, thou shalt fight to the death or thou shalt be banished a coward. Blackthorn's law of sacrifice. Thou shalt donate half thy income to charity, or thou shalt have no income. See? It's surprisingly chilling, isn't it, to see what happens to such good and noble traits when suddenly charity and kindness are mandated by the state? Suddenly you find yourself being very careful about what you ask people in towns. A lot of people are fiercely loyal to Blackthorn's new regime and suspicious of people asking too many questions. And it's hard to blame them. After all, the current authority is fiercely weeding out any sedition. Anyone opposing Blackthorn is clearly opposing the virtues. And if you're really the Avatar, why are you asking so many questions about Lord Blackthorn? Aren't you working with him? Well, here, maybe this guard can help. I can't emphasize enough how cruel and oppressive the atmosphere is. You're an outlaw now, and most people actually believe what they hear from Big Brother, that you're an imposter Avatar, and helping you is a death sentence. You don't know who your friends are anymore, and villagers honestly think they're doing the right thing by turning you in. For the first time in the series, the game tracks time between day and night, and city residents behave differently depending on what time it is, either working at their job or sleeping. But in many places, there's a state-mandated curfew at sundown, so sneaking around the cities at night is a dangerous prospect. But oftentimes it's the only way to contact members of the resistance. The guardsmen are often corrupt and will extort money from you and call it charity. Citizens are naturally suspicious and will ask accusing questions of you and aren't above calling for help if they see you as a threat, and there's propaganda everywhere. And worst of all, sometimes the Shadow Lords make their presence felt as they search the cities for you. If you walk into a town and the game says you have a bad feeling, turn and leave. Immediately. The corruption of the Shadow Lords turns everyone in town into lying, thieving bastards who will act with hostility or just outright rob you blind. Oh, and if you're thinking about attacking the Shadow Lord, free tip, don't. All blades perish that pierce these Shadow Kings. There's a lot to do if you want to save Lord British and topple Blackthorn, and most of it involves purifying the Shrines of Virtue by doing a quest for each one and raiding all the dungeons again. But if you played Ultima 4 all the way through, hey, good for you, because you can even transfer your old character over with an XP boost, and if you wrote down what all the mantras were, they're still the same now, so you just saved yourself a ton of work rediscovering what they are. But since Lord British sealed all the dungeons with magic, you have to go around finding out what the words of power to open them all are, and believe me, it's kinda hard not to sound suspicious when you're asking how to open all the dungeons that are filled with evil demons. You've also got to find a way to deal with the Shadow Lords, which ain't easy, since you have to delve into the underworld to find each of the 3 shards that contain their evil essences, and then you have to figure out a way to destroy them and the Shadow Lords forever. Not an insignificant undertaking. To save Lord British, you have to get all his stuff back, like his crown and scepter, which are being held securely in Blackthorn's and the Shadow Lord strongholds. You can't just go kicking down the front gate, you have to sneak as best as possible. The one rule here is don't get caught. No, really, don't get caught. Blackthorn has more in store for you than just dancing at the end of a rope. If you do get caught, well, I'd almost suggest doing it just to see one of the most gripping and tense scenes in any RPG. Blackthorn catches you, strips you and your companions of your gear, and drags you to his torture chamber in chains. He tells you he really looks up to you, and he wants to be an Avatar too. He's a big fan of the virtue, see, so all he asks you is what the mantra to one of the shrines is. More than likely you'll refuse, since you know it can't be a good thing for this guy to be traipsing around the shrines, and he says, okay, I won't kill you, I'll just kill your friends. So he wheels one of your companions under a scything blade and asks, are you sure you don't want to tell him? And you might be thinking that if you can hold out just long enough, someone will come and rescue you. Your friend dies, and horribly so. And this time, there's no getting that character back. Ever. It's a great villainous moment, and one of the purest examples of ethical role-playing in any game. You don't know what's going to happen, and in this scene you're thinking this really might go down to the wire, watching every one of your companions tortured to death in front of you, all because you won't give them a relatively insignificant word. This is a really long and difficult game, but never unfairly so. It takes you across the length and breadth of the entire world, but never feels like it's dragging you by the nose to do it. The plot is deep and involving, and yet almost completely non-linear. The ending is both triumphant and tragic, a salvation for the world of Britannia and the redemption of the Avatar, the restoration of Lord British and the exile of the misguided Blackthorn. But your victory over this adversary is rewarded only with a return back to Earth, where your deeds remain unknown and where your house has been robbed in your absence. At first it seems like a slap in the face, but it's a call to action that Britannia isn't the only world that needs help, that the quest of the Avatar, enlightenment, isn't about reward and fame. Enlightenment is its own reward. But, you know, I'd still hunt down the fucker who stole my big screen TV and Xbox. I mean, justice is a virtue after all.
I am the law!